All right, even though this review is by hand, we are still going to be using Desmos for a couple questions. So if you don't have a computer, this is the best way to access Desmos. Just get the app, Desmos Graphing Calculator. All right, let's jump right in. The first thing on your test, arithmetic and geometric sequences. We haven't seen it in a while, so we're just going to take a look at how they work. So jumping right into this first question, there are about 3 of them on your exam that look like this. It says examine the sequence of integers below, and then it says which expression represents the nth integer of the sequence, and it gives you a couple answer choices right here, either A or B. So this is just asking us to go ahead and write an equation or write a formula for the sequence. Okay, write a formula or an equation. So this just gives us the actual formula. It doesn't say y equals or a n equals. So really this could be f of n equals, this could be y equals, they all mean the same thing, right? Y equals, this could even be a sub n equals. It all means the same thing. We don't have to worry about it. In here we have 2 things. We have our slopes, and we have our y-intercepts. So we're actually going to use Desmos to go ahead and write these equations. And it's been a while, but remember this sequence is our y values right here, 17, 11, 5, -1, and -7. And we don't have any x values yet, so we're going to go ahead and add them in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just numbering off term numbers, so we have x and y values. At this point, we can go ahead and throw those into Desmos and get an equation, add a table. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for x, and then for y, we have 17, 11, 5, -1, and -7. From there, we can go ahead and get Desmos to write an equation for us. Y1 is approximately mx1 plus b. And just like that, Desmos will go ahead and write an equation. So looking right there, it says that m is -6, and it says that b is 23. So using those 2 things to write an equation, I have y equals m times n, the term number, plus my y-intercepts. And just like that, that looks exactly like answer choice A. All right, looks exactly like answer choice A, so that is what I'm going to pick. I gave you one to practice on your own, right there. And the next one I'm going to do is right here. It says, given the following information, write the first 4 terms of the sequence. And right here I see f of 1. That means the first term. So the first term is already given to us right here, 48. So term 1 is 48. So to find term 2, I'm going to use the information that was given to me. Again, this was term 1 is 48. There's 48. I have that f of n, so any term is equal to 1/2 times f of n minus 1, which means the term that came before it. And you can see right here, that is my common ratio. It says that we are multiplying 1/2 times what came before it. So right here, we had my first term, 48, times my common ratio of 1/2 will give me my next term. So I'm just going to use Desmos because it's right here, but you can use, a normal calculator. So I have my first term, 48, times 1/2. And that gives me 24. So my second term right there is 24. And I'll do it again. I'll use that common ratio times 1/2. Again, using my calculator or Desmos, 24 times 1/2 gives me 12. And one more time, still using that ratio times 1/2. 12 times 1/2, that'll give me 6. And those are my first 4 terms, 1, 2, 3, and 4. I gave you one right here to practice, same type of thing, first 4 terms. And in the previous one, it was using a different notation, but it is pretty much the same thing. We still have our first term is 2, and we have our common ratio right there is 5. So using that information and copying what we did, you should be able to write out the first 4 terms for that sequence as well. All right, popping over to the last example, we have given A1 is 5. So immediately what I'm seeing is A1 is 5. That means term 1 is 5. My first term is 5. Next, I have A of n. So any term is 3 plus the term that came before it. That right there will be called my common difference. And if we look at the previous example, we can see what's different about these. This one was 1/2 times fn minus 1. That multiplication let me know that I should be multiplying and that it is a ratio. If we look over here, now it is 3 plus n minus 1. This one was 1/2 times n minus 1. This one is 3 plus n minus 1. So ratio, multiplying, addition, our difference. So we're going to approach this problem the exact same way as the last one, but instead of multiplying, on this one we are going to add instead. So starting with my first term right here of 5, I'm going to go ahead and write out my terms all the way until my 7th term. So there is term 1 right there. All right, this is term 1. Now I'm going to use my difference right here, plus 3. Okay, so 5 plus 3 is 8. And then we're just going to keep going with that pattern. We're going to go plus 3, 11, plus 3, 14, plus 3, 17, 20, 23. Okay, again, each time we're adding 3, adding 3, adding 3, and adding 3. And if you look at that, we have term 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. It said find, where is it? Find A7. So A7 is right here, 23. So my answer should be 23. Again, just be really careful. This one was 1/2 being multiplied by everything, so that's why we were multiplying, right? Multiplying. This one was 3 plus, and that is why we were adding. Okay, you have a very similar example right here. It says given, let's see, we'll mark it up the same way. Given the first term, a1 is 8, and a sub n equals 2 plus a n minus 1, find a of 6. All right, our next topic on our test is our properties of exponents. You will have this piece of paper on your test: product of powers, quotient of powers, power of a power, rational exponent, and negative exponent. All right. So if we go to this first example over here, we're going to be using 2 laws of exponents. So I'm going to put them right here for us to reference. We have our product rule, and we're going to need our power rule right here. All right, so looking at this question, it just says simplify. Just simplify. It doesn't give you any hints on which rules to use, but I'll let you know we're going to go ahead and use that power rule first when our 2 exponents are connected, or we have one exponent right outside of a parentheses. So my first step right here is going to be to go ahead and distribute that exponent. And that rule tells me when I distribute, I multiply the exponents. So I will end up with x 5 times 8, which will give me 40. And I'm just going to drop down that second term. We haven't done anything with it, x 12. Now I'm going to use my product rule, which says when I multiply, I add the exponents together. So for this one right here, I would have 40 plus 12. 40 plus 12 will give me 52. And this question is done. You have one more right here to try out using those same two rules. All right, for the next one, we're going to need quotient of powers. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that one. All right, and I'm going to put it right here just so we can reference it. Okay. It says, which is equivalent to the above expression? So this one's actually a multiple choice question, makes it a little easier. Okay, we have 2 pieces to these that you should keep in mind. We have our coefficients, which do not use the rule. And then we have our exponents that will use the rule. All right, so let's go ahead and take care of those coefficients. First, we have 45 divided by 30. Okay, we can use a calculator, or in this case, I'm going to go ahead and use Desmos. We have 45 divided by 30. It gives me 1.5. Now, Desmos cannot convert this to a fraction for you. You should be using your calculator for this and converting that answer to a fraction. Converting it to a fraction. When you convert it to a fraction, it will be 3 over 2, 3 divided by 2. And you can see that fraction right there, 3 over 2, is the same. I can type that in Desmos to see, or my calculator. 3 divided by 2 is 1/2. You can see that both of those are 1/2, or 1.5, sorry. And then I can start working on my exponents. My product rule says when I divide exponents, I subtract them. So I'm going to start doing that on these right here. I have 8 minus 3. So far my answer is 3/2. 8 minus 3, which will give me 5. 8 minus 3. Give me 5. my next one, I have negative 9 minus a negative 6. And you can use your calculator for any of these, right? We have negative 9 minus negative 6. That is a negative 3. And then our last one over here, we have 4 minus 2, which will just give us 2. We only have one extra step to simplify here. Looking at this y to the negative 3, it is negative, so it is going to move to the bottom. So we will have y with a positive 3 on the bottom. After you move it, we're going to go ahead and remove it from the top. And just like that, we have our answer, and this looks like it matches up with this one right here. We did not have y to the 15th. All right, I left you one to do here. It doesn't have anything crazy happening with the fractions on this one. All right, our next one, simplifying radical expressions. It says, which is equivalent to the above expression? I'm going to leave this 251 for y'all to do. I'm going to do the short one, square root of 48. Remember, this is where we're using that factor tree. So we have square root of 48, and we're going to start breaking it into our factors. Remember, if you cannot find those factors on your own, just use a calculator. Use a calculator. 48 divided by 2 gives me 24. So my first will be 2 and 24. Keep dividing. I will have 24 divided by 2 gives me 12. 2 and 12. Next one, I will have 12 divided by 2 will give me 6. 6 divided by 2 will give me 3. 2 and 3 is the bottom of my tree. And now I'm good to stop. I'm going to go ahead, and on my tree, I'm going to go ahead and circle all my prime numbers. 2, 2, 2, 2, and 3. I'm going to go ahead and circle pairs of numbers. I see a pair of 2s. I see a pair of 2s. And then I see a 3 all alone. I can go ahead and simplify, making my square root. Remember, my pairs get to leave the house. My pairs get to leave the house. So over here, I have a pair of 2s. Get to leave. I have a pair of 2s. They get to leave. And then I have a single lone 3 all by itself that's going to go ahead and stay inside the house. I have on the outside 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Square root of 3. 4 square root of 3 is my final answer. This is the one I'm going to leave you to do. It is a little bit longer, not too much. If you need a list of those prime numbers, here you go. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, and 17. And you can use those to make your tree. Okay, square root of 250. And you can start dividing. All right, let's keep going. This one says we're going to be adding and subtracting polynomials, All right, first one, we can see that it is a addition problem. It says select the simplified expression. There are only 2 steps to this. Step 1, identify like terms. And then step 2 will be to add coefficients. All right, let's get started with identifying like terms. Remember, like terms have to have the same exponent and the same variable. So right here we have negative 9x squared. I'm searching for that x squared again. I see it over here, negative x squared. They both have that x squared. I see another set of like terms right here, negative 5x, and 12x. They both have an x term. And then last but not least, my constant also counts. I have positive 10 and a negative 3. I now identified like terms. I'm going to go ahead and add their coefficients now. So for my first set, I have negative 9x squared minus x squared equals. That is negative 9 minus 1. Let me write it the way I did in class. That would be negative 9x squared plus negative 1x squared. It's going to leave me with 9 plus a negative 1, which will give me an 8. 8x squared. My next term was negative 5x plus 12x. Adding those coefficients, those numbers in the front, that would leave me with 5 plus 12 gives me 17. And I forgot the negative. Negative 5 plus 12 will give me 7. And then last but not least, we have 10 plus negative 3. 10 plus negative 3 gives me 7. All right, using those, now we can go ahead and find that answer. So we have 8x squared. It was definitely negative 8x squared. I think I typed that in wrong. That would be negative 9 plus negative 1, which is negative 10. Ugh, I messed that one up, sorry. I'm not redoing this. So right here, in this first one, I typed it in wrong. I used a positive sign instead of a negative. That is right here, negative 9 plus negative 1, which gives me negative 10x squared. Negative 10x squared. Second one with positive 7x. We have a positive 7x right here. And last but not least, we have 7. We have a 7 right here. So that first answer matches up, and that is it. You have one to try right here to select the simplified expression. All right, on this second one, the only thing that changes is we have a subtraction sign. Remember, for subtraction, what we need to remember is this little 3-word phrase: add the opposites. Add the opposite. So when you add the opposite, you keep the first term, or you keep the first expression the same. We have 14r squared plus 7r minus 9. Then we're going to add, changing that negative sign to a plus sign. And then it says add the opposite. So I'm going to change the signs on every single thing in the second expression. I had a positive 8. Now I'm going to have a negative 8r squared. I had a negative 5r. Now I'm going to have a positive 5r. I had a positive 2. Now I'm going to have a negative 2. At this point, I'm ready to just use my steps from adding again. So those will be, again, identifying like terms, adding coefficients. So I go down to my example, and I'm going to start identifying those like terms. I see 14r squared, negative 8r squared. I see 7r and 5r. And then last but not least, I see negative 9 and negative 2. Go ahead and add those together. I have 14r squared plus negative 8r squared. add them together. I have 14 plus negative 8 gives me 6. Next one, I have 7r plus 5r equals 7 plus 5. 7 plus 5 gives me 12. And the very last one, I have negative 9 plus negative 2. Can add those together. Negative 9 plus negative 2, negative 11. Six r squared, 6r squared, 12r, 12r, negative 11, negative 11. So this is my final answer right here. All right, I left you one to do right here. Simplified expression. You do have that subtraction sign. So you want to, again, add the opposite. All right, we are almost done. Now we're going to simplify polynomials with the distributive property. So I'm going to do one right here. It says 6a plus a, 2 minus b plus 3ab. All right, I see the distributive property right here where I see parentheses. So I know I'm going to be distributing that a across those parentheses. I'm going to go ahead and write out my simplified expression. I have 6a plus a times 2. A times 2 is just 2a. I have a times a negative b. A times negative b will give me negative ab. And then on the end, I just have plus 3ab. At this point, you are just combining like terms. I see I have a 6a term and a 2a term. And I have a negative ab and a plus 3ab. So I'm going to go ahead and combine those real quick. I have, for my first one, I have 6a plus 2a equals 8a. And for my second one over here, I have negative ab plus 3ab equals, this is negative 1 plus 3. You could use a calculator if you need it. We have negative 1 plus 3 gives me positive 2. 2ab. I match it up right here. I have 8a, 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 and then I have, let's see, 2ab, 2ab. So my correct answer for this one will be right here. You have one to try. It follows the exact same pattern. All right, now we're on the very last topic. We have multiplying polynomials. Now, I'm not going to lie, this is one I recommend you learn how to do in Desmos, but let's go ahead and get through it. Multiplying polynomials. It says select the expression that represents the product of the 3 binomials above. So we are multiplying the first one times the second one, then times the third one. Okay, then times the third one. All right. I'm going to take away Desmos. If we are committing to doing these by hand, let's just do them by hand real quick. So, I'm going to need some extra space, so I'm going to give myself some extra space. I'm going to do it at the bottom of this page. All right, multiplying these 3 together. Paste. All right, I'm going to start by multiplying this first one times the second one using the box method right here. So I'm going to draw a box. split it into 4 so that I can multiply my first one, 3x and 4y, times 2x minus 5y. All right, I'm going to start multiplying them together, 3x and 2x, to make 6x squared. Then I'm going to multiply 3x times negative 5y. That'll give me negative 15xy. 2x and 4y. Multiplying those coefficients, right? We have 2 times 4 will give me 8. X times y will give me xy. Negative 5 and 4 will give me negative 20. And then y times y times y equals, add those coefficients, y squared. Add those exponents, y squared. Go ahead and combine like terms, and we end up with x squared, 6x squared, we have 8 minus 15. Negative 7xy. And then on our very last row, we have just negative 20y squared. So at this point, we're still not done. Now we have this entire polynomial times our very last one. So we have to do our box method again. We're going to have now a 3 by 2 box, a 3 by 2 box, and we are using it to multiply our new polynomial, 6x squared minus 7xy minus 20y squared times the one up here, 2x and 3y. All right, if you are committing to do this one by hand, go ahead and finish the box for this. I'll do the first line for you. We have 6x squared and 2x equals 12x cubed. We have 2x times negative 7xy will give you negative 14x squared y. We have negative 20y squared and 2x. It was negative 40xy squared. You still need to do these 3 boxes and combine like terms. Again, I urge you to go check out the video about how to use Desmos to get these answers. But I'm going to cut that one short. The next one says, select the expression that represents the area of the triangle. Okay, we need to know that area of a triangle equals 1/2 base times height. There's our base. There's our height. I'm going to use this space under it to solve it, but my area equals 1/2 base 6x minus 6 times height, which is 4x plus 2. All right, right here I should see that I am multiplying 2 polynomials. So I'm going to go ahead and use a 2 by 2 box to multiply them together. I will be multiplying my 6x minus 6 times 4x plus 2. All right, using my box method, I have 6x times 4x. So I have 6 times 4, which is 24. X times x, which is x squared. Negative 6 times 4x, that is 4 times negative 6, which is negative 24. X. 6x times 2, which is 6 times 2, which is 12. X. And then I have negative 6 times 2, which is negative 12. At this point, all that's left to do is combine like terms. Remember, you go diagonally for the box, so we have 24x squared, 24x squared. I have negative 24 plus 12. Give me negative 12x. And then last but not least, I end up with just negative 12 right here. All right, the big thing when doing this by hand, an area of a triangle, is you cannot forget the 1/2 in the front. If you notice, the answer we just got is answer choice A, but we are not done. We still have this 1/2 in the front. So you multiply your entire thing you have left by that 1/2. Multiplying 1/2 times 24 will give me 12x squared. 1/2 times negative 12 will give me negative 6x. And 1/2 times negative 12 will give me negative 6. Alright, and that is my final answer right there. Again, I urge you to go look at the Desmos video to help out with these questions. I leave one for you to try on your own right here using the box method. Or go check the Desmos video. It would be really helpful. Alright. Now, I'll be honest, I wouldn't worry too much about this. If you are worried about the exam, I just wouldn't stress too much about this because we just learned it. We barely learned it right now. I would, for these 2 pages, if you are worried about it, go watch the Desmos video. But there are these 2. What I would make sure I know how to do, if you are choosing to do it by hand, is make sure you know how to do all of this. There are like 3 questions on this, 1 on this, 2 on this. There's a lot of questions just on this material right here. There are 3 questions on this, 2 on this, 1 on this. Even just knowing how to do the first 2 pages of this review will get you a lot of points. And then if you go check the Desmos video for the second and third page, or the fourth and for the third and fourth pages of the review, you will do great. You will do more than great.